We're about to start, the last block of the symposium, Microtonal Small is Beautiful 2029 and 2021. Sorry. Thinking too much ahead, and it is a great honor to present our dear friend, Johnny Reinhard. We had the pleasure to have this incredible presentation 2 years ago here in Salzburg. He was with us, and to give us such a fantastic, unforgettable concert. And he will present now about this idea, these projects he's doing, the Microtonal University. Johnny Reinhard is director and founder of the American Festival of Microtonal Music 40 years ago. A composer, conductor, educator, and author, Reinhard performs as a bassoonist, recorder, player, and as a vocalist. Among his compositions are a symphony, Middle Earth, cello concerto, Odysseus, string quartet, Cosmic Rays, ballet, Left, two bassoon solos, Dune and Zanzibar, and new works in 21-28 tuning. Reinhard authored the book Bach and Tuning, Peter Lang Verlag. He holds an MM from the Manhattan School of Music and a BM from the North Carolina School of the Arts, both as a bassoon major. Reinhard has notably completed a number of important works of composers in exemplary performance, to include his realization and subsequent premiere performance of Charles Ives' Universe Symphony in 1996 in New York's Lincoln Center, and the premiere of Edgar Graves and Time in 1987 at the Centre Pompidou in Paris. Among his concert premieres are Lou Harrison's Symphony in Freestyle, Terry Riley's In C Just Intonation version, Percy Granger's From the Edge of the World Free Music for Theremin Quartet. I'm sorry. The original, my eyes are really bad. The original version of Harry Partch's Ulysses Departs from the Edge of the World for trumpet, double bass, and boobams, and the Mordecai Sandberg's Orchestral Psalm 51. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Johnny Reinhard.
Well, thank you so much. So there are so many ways we could begin this, and I've been juggling several of those, thinking that we have said throughout the days of the conference that there are certain negatives to university, conservatory, college education, especially with microtonal tuning. So as a result of the pandemic, I mean, as a kind of a graphic, this is our reality right now. We're only, trying to get to an accommodation where we can communicate with each other, we can be with each other virtually. We don't know when this is going to end. We do know it's going to continue. We do know that it's a rocky road and things will never be the same. Doing the Universe Symphony in Lincoln Center, they're trying to do it in Germany next year. They picked the date for it after it was already canceled because of the pandemic. I just can't imagine it. I mean, I got my fingers crossed, but they certainly haven't made it public. So how do we, you hear these accomplishments of the past where we had all these people together. So I think the Microtonal University, which I'm going to just call MU, is my answer for the American Festival of Microtonal Music to move forward, to continue, but not as a substitution, but actually a evolution and a development. I don't want to be negative anymore about, I kind of lost everybody there for a second, hold on. There we are. I don't want to, put down for 10 minutes what I think is not working in the university college. And it's mostly anecdotal, what I would tell you. I could point to like a minimal amount of microtonal classes that have been offered and no longer offered when the person who was teaching moved on. But we have, at this moment, the most virtuoso microtonalists on the planet ever. We have at this moment the connection internationally with all possible people interested in microtonality. We have at this moment the beginning technology to take advantage of this. And again, not as a substitution, but as a way to move forward. This might be the best plan that I could imagine. Obviously, it's my imagining, but this might be the best way to move forward. It doesn't mean that things can't change for the positive, but what Microtonal University will offer are things that it won't matter what happens outside. Live performance will always be encouraged, and we will have live performance. So let me see if we can split the screen now. And I'm going to take you through what I'm talking about. So let's see. I'm going to do this and this. And then I'm going to do this and this. You guys see it?
Oh, very nice picture.
Yeah, so this is a picture of guitarists, which is a theme of, which instrument is the most microtonal forward thinking right now? It's probably guitar. As much as I would love it to be bassoon, it's, there are others. It's probably guitar. And we're going to have every year a conference of guitarists. In fact, I have all of next year planned already, the second year. This is just the first year. It starts September 5th. It goes to, I think, August 28th. And I had done a performance as a composer bassoonist at a guitar festival. And so people were so nice. I was given the honorary appellation of an honorary guitarist. There's Augustine in the left corner there. And, these are all New York glitterati of the guitar world. And there's so many all over the world. So we're going to continue it. The guitarist might come on, it's up to them. They'll bring a guitar with them probably. The performers are the best at knowing how to get their sound out right on Zoom. If there's anybody who knows how to do that, it's actual performers. So, they might play and sing, but mostly Zoom is going to be music or talking. I try not to mix it up because it's not great for this particular program. So we move and we get to a faculty of Meredith Borden, who is a partner with John Cattler. And these are people who you've probably never seen unless you've heard their recordings. And it could be, rock and roll, but it could also be Ives. It could also be Carrillo. It could also be my music. I mean, these are lifelong friends of mine that are virtuosi, meaning that they make the most difficult stuff look easy. And they have ears. I mean, one of the things I've noticed about the internet Facebook groups is people are proud of not listening. They think it all has to be electronic, and if it's not, it's your imagination. And so you get, gaslighting unintentionally and accusations of grifting and all kinds of silliness because they don't listen. But actually, I would say that I hear 1 cent. I've tried to prove it wherever I go. It's just that people don't trust their own ears, so it's very difficult to get, everybody in agreement. But I think it's something you could train to do, and certainly we're going to do ear training. We've got Manfred Stanke, who's one of my favorite composers on the planet, and just wonderful that he's going to focus on composition / improv. simultaneously. Michael Vick, who's actually with us right now, is the fellow who got it's a double archive actually of microtonal music into Furman University in South Carolina, where he teaches a course in microtonal music, has been for years, and I get to work with them a little bit now, which has been fun. And he's our tech guy, and he and I actually hatched this a little bit together, trying to figure out how this would work. And we've had to imagine. It made me feel a little bit like Facebook with Zuckerberg, or Apple, or with Jobs and Wozniak, what's his name? This idea of starting something that's going to go somewhere you can't expect, but it's the right place it should go. Philip Gerslauer, just tremendous jazz saxophonist, also a 128 performer. And Svetlana Bukvich is one of my board members in New York and the AFMM, as is Michael. And she's a composer from Sarajevo with a very personal style of tuning that brings the synthesizer and the electronics, to another level with us. She and I will both be doing a lot of the moderating of composer forums, where we can do something that you can never do before. You could pull people from all over the planet at the same time. And let's make sure I didn't leave anybody out now. Oh yes, I'm on there too. I see Lawrence waving. Hi, Lawrence. Lawrence will be a guest to speak. So now we have a list here, some funny little bullet points I came up with. Music courses, private lessons. Private lessons hasn't even started yet. I mean, you can now, if you join Moo, you can get a private teacher. You work out everything with them, but they would be like the top microtonalists of your instrument. They might even be choices, right? I've got it all set up already. It's just, you just have to ask. There are several composers, several improvisers on the faculty, right? Many styles of music. There's no real limitations on any of that. Bandcamp, I'm going to the bottom right now. Bandcamp is this really wonderful format for lossless recordings. Just so happens that I had a lot of those, right? This is before something goes on CD, before reverb is added, before other kinds of fairy dust is added and the finalizing, where when I want to get pure fifths, I lose them with reverb. Because just a little bit of reverb and that pure fifth is now felt as, sounds normal, equal temperament. So for that matter, I have on the AFM website, which I don't even want to write down, it's so easy, afmm.org, that's it. You go to that and you'll get to hear a video with lossless sound, nowhere else but on our website, of the Charles Ives Concord Sonata in extended Pythagorean tuning, which is 25 notes in one octave, the 24 in the others, and which no words can do justice, literally, and I mean justice in terms of what you're going to hear. So that's a reason right away to go to www.afmm.org when you get a chance. Go to that Concord Sonata, as it's not a link. We've decided to make that the one place that you're going to be able to see it and hear it. So then you see above it, Moo Global. We don't need to focus much on it, but that's for the other time zones. That's Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And through Craig Grady, his format for me is Anaphoria. So we're able to utilize his space. So it's very easy to link things. All events in Moo have homework, but the homework is done before the event. And the homework is basically listening to the link or links attached to that event. So this way you already know what the person's music sounds like without it getting distorted or having a technical issue, and having it be the best quality and the best examples. Sometimes it's YouTube. Sometimes it's Vimeo. Mostly I think it's Bandcamp, but then you lose the visual. The Move Global stuff is going to be Saturdays for all of us. If you're in Europe, you won't be able to see it. If you're in the States, you might be able to. That's the way it goes. We have somebody in Mu who's got a scholarship. We've got 10 scholarships. He's in Armenia, so he can't even, he's up till 3 a.m. to participate. The good news, it's all on Sunday. And from a cost perspective, if anybody registers before September, it's only $50 for the entire year US. But beginning September 1st, it's going to be $200 and remain that way for the year. All right, so that's the basic cost issue. Additional microtonal festivals will be for flute, for violin, homemade instruments, and guitar is split between acoustic and then following immediately electric. And next year we'll have others. We'll have cello and clarinet and double bass. All right, so now as I move through, we go to the definition of microtonal music that we're going to keep at Move. All music is microtonal music cross-culturally. 12-tone equal temperament is in itself a microtonal scale. Only it enjoys exorbitant attention and hegemonic power, so we focus on the other tuning arrangements. So now as we move down, financially, PayPal is the best way for dealing with, I think, international. Here we are in September. We start September 5th. Joshua Pierce, the pianist, who feels a little left out because, next, and then the second year, there'll be a microtonal piano group, but not the first year. And he, for the piano, we have very special issues, but he will still give us his, take the champagne bottle and smack it against the ship for us as we start off. And I can't go through everything. You can always look this up on your own. When you go to the website, you'll be able to get a press release. You'll be able to download this. You'll see an updated group of the board. You'll see other links and achievements. But this is the critical stuff here. Craig Grady and Terumi Narushima are in Australia. Will be doing the events that are Mu Global. That's sort of their area. And, just take a look at it as I, roll through it. I'm very lucky. I have 3 premieres. The first one coming up September 5th with Dave Edgar is going to be in the 9th octave of the overtone series, using only the pitches that appear in the 9th octave, which is another 128. I call it the other 128. I call it the piece Asteroid Belt. And the quality for me is like it's non-planet. It's got a different, well, we're going to hear it together on September 5th. Later on, I get to hear a violin solo in 128 tuning called String Theory with Dan Arabach. And Dan's father is actually a very famous nuclear scientist in Israel. And then, this string theory is the idea of the universe. I thought, okay, let's go at it. So I, came up with that. And it's not just my stuff. You've got Michael Dixon is going to do a whole series of performances from Australia. Even if it's the middle of the night for him, he's going to arrange that. And then you start having the classes. John Cavler teaching rock and roll. This time with guest Hansford Rowe, the famous electric just intonation bassist from the band Gong and other Cavler adventures. So, and we won't even finish that without having his first composers forum. And to me, it's just going to be so exciting to have, all these people together. It's just like this. right? Except we have Johanni, we have Manfred, but we're now going to have Gloria Coates, Yuri Kasparov, and Nicola Vasali as well. A little picture from the past. Now we're in October. And you see, it's just Sundays and just, a couple of hours. Usually there's 2 sessions or 1. That's pretty much how it is. The first and the last of the month has 2, and the middle usually has 1, middle Sundays. Look at this guitar festival, October 24th. Tolgahan, John Schneider, Mac Gergich, Wim Hugerer, Dan Lippel, who we saw earlier, Oren Fader, who is a wonder in New York. You guys should all know about Oren Fader. And William Anderson, who's quite well known in Salzburg. And then we have Michael Vick is going to have a group. Angel Blanco has the first group. He's moderating the second group. Brendan Burns, David Fashinsky, who you know. Catler himself, David Dorning, who you know. Neil Haverstick, Al Justo, Melly Viters, Michael Hopka, Stephen James Taylor. There's so many more, right? So this is where we're at the tipping point. So there's already another one for the next year. And there'll be another for the third. I definitely imagine this going on for years. And I hope this continues ad infinitum. Here's another one, Composers Forum, Peter Thogerson. Those of you who know his name know he's a volatile person. But with Kyle Gann, who is a friend of his and mine, and our friend Richard, and another friend, Joel Taylor, Richard Cameron Wolf, that'll be fascinating with Svetlana Buffett, who will have a nice group to deal with. I'll certainly be there. I hope you too. We'll make it possible for people to join for a single day. But we won't talk about that today. But we will make it possible, either through webinar or some other situation. It will cost separately if they're not members, but there will be a way for other people in the world to say, I want to see that. All right, so here, look at this one in November. This Saturday, November 6th, is Mu Global. So in New York City, it starts at 11 p.m. And you got a Thogerson, Elkin, Jacob's piece. All these are premieres, by the way. We're trying to only do premieres. And most of the time, there's solos. November 14th, I think it's going to be a very important event. It's going to have Carol Barron, who is the person that figured out by handwriting analysis that Charles Ives changing the dates of his pieces was according to legitimate concerns. And I will talk about his changing of the chromatics to make his music less dissonant. And the whole world said it was more dissonant. And Anthony Cook is going to tell us that he died of diabetes. That had to do with a kind of diabetes that came from mercury used in the lining of the hats that people in Connecticut, where he grew up, Danbury, everybody in his family had those hats. And this is apparently what caused the heart attack. It's diabetic related. It's a different take on his whole issue. Because remember, he's alive for 25 years, not writing music, not talking to people much, just getting his music together. And they take him out of the school system and they make a big scandal about him because they say, he's a cheat. By the way, this all came from Elliott Carter, but we'll save that for the talk. And then, I don't know how many of you know of Subrag Singh's incredible Infinitone, which is this saxophone electronic hybrid that plays a 128, among other tunings. Here's another delicious forum of virtuoso composers. Dave Taylor on trombone, Veli Kujal on accordion, Robert Dick on flute, and Tom Chu on violin. I mean, each one of these people is a giant. But you don't necessarily would connect to them, not even in a concert. barely in a master class, and likely impossible to have a lesson with them. So this becomes a unique place to get into the inside of what people are thinking. And that's a big part of what we do as performers. So you'll see there's a very strong instrumental performance side to this. Now we're in December. You see a Move Global at the top. Here's the Flute Festival. Stephanie Starr and Robert Dick. Helen Bledsoe with the Music Fabrique. Ron Kozak, he's a multiple instrumentalist I've worked with for years in New York, every instrument with winds. Susan Friedlander, his wife, also just flute though. Just flute, I think that's a problem, right? Jennifer Grimm, Jorge Echevarria. And then I'll do some ear training with a wonderful musician that I discovered for myself. She has a big fan base, Amelia Huff. And then you see you got Manfred Stanke's got 3 of 3. So in certain cases, you would want to follow each class if you're going to participate. And so, you know, it's going to be always very specific, and I'll always be able to advise. This is obviously for everybody to look at. But when you're a member, you're going to get a different edition. You're going to get the code for each day so that you can go to the Zoom. It'll be different for each day. And it'll also have the links, which is like a textbook, you know, in the modern sense. So I can include everything that's available publicly, but pinpoint exactly what's needed for each session. Laura Lichtenberg is going to perform a piece of Peter Thorgerson's. I am emphasizing him because he's difficult and he knows it, but he's also brilliant. He writes in 128 fairly often, actually. And so I'm just going through it. I'll try to land on each page a little bit. You see, January 2nd is dark. We'll have a day off. And here's the Homemade Instrument Festival. It could grow. It's already growing. Jacob Barton, the Utterbot inventor. I don't know if you know who he is, and I don't know if you know Jacob, but he's a major force in microtonality in the United States, if not internationally. He's going to meet with our legend, Skip LaPlante, John Bertels, Patrick Ozodlove, London, England, I should say, or Great Britain. Dave Simons, Peter Bastien in France, Miguel Frasconi, and Ken Butler. And this is really quite amazing. There's actually another person. I'll keep it as a surprise for right now. But there are more coming, actually. And then I'm just rolling now. I'm on a roll. So, you know, I guess I'll just roll through it so you can see. I definitely am excited about this microtonal notation because I realized that that's so needed. There's so much misunderstanding. Please do understand that the AFMM, the American Festival of Microtonal Music, has always used a notation we call sense notation, where except for a quarter tone flat and a quarter tone sharp and maybe a 3/4 tone sharp, except for 3 symbols, we put a plus or minus in sense, a number from 1 to 49. It never needs to be bigger than that. And when you do that, you can now play in every single tuning system that uses integers as, you know, the common connection. And we can hear even better than 1 cent, right? I mean, the thing is, if you can't hear it yourself, you're in trouble. If the instruments can't measure it, you're in trouble. And if you are distrustful of other people who can do things that you can't do, you're in trouble. We need to get real time with music and make it on a level that is as good or better than live performance. So we're actually utilizing live performance at its best from the past, which is, you know, this 40-year period in New York. wasn't recognized at first in Europe. It was clear when Johannes gave his talk about Van Richter Herf that when he started in the early 80s, he didn't know about us. So we started March 7th, 1981. So a lot of what we've accomplished hasn't gotten out of New York City. People in New York know. So as you guys may know by now, I live in California now. So this is American Festival is now bridging out. And it's called American Festival because we had Harry Partch here. We had Charles Ives. And, if you don't know at this moment, Charles Ives had a special tuning in his head, as I'm suggesting for Stravinsky, and as I've already suggested and written a book about for Bach. So this is a commonality I'm discovering. I know it's true for Otto Luening, by the way. You got to take it one at a time, where a composer gives up what they think, what they want, what their ideals are. You see their music, you see their history, you interpret the notation the way they interpret it. Is the sharp higher than the flat or lower? Okay, so in Ives, it's higher. In the overtone series, it's lower. So you have already two different views. We'll do some historical stuff, and in general, I would say the beginning of tuning was Neanderthal, which was probably very musical. And that ends, 30,000 years ago? And so people are doing found objects, from dead animals, rocks, ice. And then they go to the voice and the string, and they hear harmonics. So we have the beginning is harmonics, which comes from chanting, like in Tibet, where the Denisovans lived, Om, where you go, Om, now you're at a sine wave. And when you start isolating that, you have overtones. Well, that's a commonality in whom he's singing, in the Kung people of South Africa, with the click sounds and the ability with a string and a jaw harp and all kinds of ways to get harmonics. And then that becomes Neolithic. You've got cities, so you're now going to take fifths and pile them up. That's Pythagorean tuning. Has nothing to do with Pythagoras, much older than Pythagoras. People have to stop saying Pythagoras invented Pythagorean tuning. We need to find, one of the things that I'm noticing from the conference is a lot of people who work in areas where there's not a lot of communication with other groups, and so they have terminology that they use that isn't the same. We're not sharing the same meanings with the same words, and it's creating a cognitive dissonance. So, by having a Microtonal university, proudly unaccredited, because I can't imagine who can accredit us. We are the accreditors as far as we're concerned, right? We're the 40-year institution in New York. So there's nothing about accrediting. I don't see it. I guess somebody might ask me someday for some credit for a college class or something. I'd certainly be happy to do what I can. But this is for people that realize you're not going to get this material anywhere else. So the difficulty for me here is to help you imagine what I'm imagining. And I stopped in March. I mean, it just goes on. There's Lamont Young, who hopefully will be well enough to attend and speak for as long as he'd like to. That is the plan. Just going to go through this quickly, and then we'll start with questions or comments, because there might be more for something like this. Here's a wonderful forum with Augustine. Peter Dolden, I don't know how many of you know about him in Quebec. He's been doing for 40 years his own microtonal recordings of acoustic instruments that are incredibly microtonal. But there's no connection if you don't know who he is, right? Elaine Walker, who's writing rock music, progressive rock music in Bolin Pierce in New Mexico. I don't know how many of you know her. I hope more. And of course, Christian Klingenberg wrote this brilliant opera that I had the privilege of performing about 10 times, including in New York. Theme Terpstra, one of my dearest friends from Amsterdam, will join us. We'll hear about the Pittsburgh people, Matthew Rosenblum, and Devin Tipp. I just can't talk about it all, right? Frank Malloy, one of my oldest, dearest friends, is going to do the parties. We're going to have like 3 parties. And of course, we'll have to figure out what that is going to be. But Frank is going to lead them. And he's the executive director of this wonderful African dance troupe that used to be in New York, but it's now in Atlanta. He's from South Carolina, actually, from Charleston. So it's terrific. He's a board member, and it's terrific that he's decided that he's going to do this. Look at this. Oh, we got Togahan finally has a chance. We slipped him in here in August 21, and then we'll end with a party. So here's our staff. That's worth looking at. The influencers have become the PMs, the product managers. They're going to, or project manager, both. They're going to have 1 month. They'll be in charge, make sure everybody knows what they're doing, what they come in and out. I'll have a little bit less responsibility. I'll be taking care of the people who come in, make sure everybody gets the final schedules, set up the Zoom accounts, all that kind of thing. Here's our AFMM board. So there's a lot of cross-fertilization. Then we'll have our bios. It's Meredith, Svetlana, John Cattler. I'm probably going too fast, not fast enough. Philip, Barnford, Michael, me. That's just a New York real concert after party picture that we had. I see Johanni over there. It's Michael Hofka. Everybody's eyes are looking real bright. So I guess that's the presentation. I hope I did the right timing. And I made these cards, you know, but you can't really read them. I thought what you saw is better. And I think I covered it all for a introduction. And what I hope to happen is for people to tell other people, to share this, to get the word out. I mean, that's one of the things that happened is with the pandemic, there's no real direct way to reach students, right? Because they're just setting up their own social organization. And this is a social organization, by the way, definitely. It's not. It's more than it's a university in the very special way that Microtonal is special. So, you know, we have to have people, these are the influencers, are going out and say, okay, I got this school. I got this school. And, you know, it's just a couple of people who are going to be interested. This is not about changing someone's views to be a microtonalist. That's not what this is. Okay? And, you know, whether you use the word or you use ekmelik or you use, you know, some other term, it has to do with what you care about. This is about passion. This is about emotion. These are the things that universities lock out. They don't permit it. They make you take it out of your writings. So I'm passionate about the intervals. I can sing them. I can hear them. I hear the music in my head. It's not bragging. This is about teaching. This is about sharing. If I know it, if I have a skill set that I have learned and is teachable, and I don't get to teach it, I fail as an educator. And that's what I've been all my life. I've been a public school teacher for 7 years. I taught at 4 or 5 different universities, Columbia, New York University, CW Post, doing sabbaticals at Bard and guest lecturing in Indiana and all kinds of places. So it's about getting this stuff out. And I find if I try to do it on Facebook, it doesn't work. So this is going to be for all those things that don't work. And this is going to provide so much interest. One thing I learned here was the value of us talking between sessions, which no one could have expected. That would be our substitute for going for a beer. And you know, the difference between, my friend Michael's smiling, because I'm going to say something that he's going to know. The difference between someone who knows someone and how they respond to what they say is immensely different when they don't know you. You know, I can tell you a whole litany of horrible things people have said to me, but they don't know me. And you always hear that comment, right? You don't know me. But, you know, it's really true. You know, if Augustine and I, he's shaking his head, yes, if we didn't know each other from this live concert in New York, you probably couldn't believe most of the things I say. You know, I write my music differently all the time. In that particular piece, nobody's ever mentioned it, but I wanted to tell you, I circular breathed like crazy for that whole piece. I almost didn't stop playing. And that must have blown away some guitar players, I think, because they responded to me in a way most audiences don't. So it's like, you know, I'm the guy with the, you know, the guitar players have that little machine they put on it so it can just go. So anyway, I'm pretty much done. I can, of course, you know, ramble on, but that is not the point. So anybody want to just ask me some comments, questions, response?
Well, I have one. Yeah, I'm very intrigued, and I think I would really love to attend this university. But my question is: are, you know, people that are less experienced with microtonal music, are they welcomed? Like they are starting their journey and they want to develop, they want to improve, they want to learn new things.
Of course, as you see from here, and we're learning from here. Not everybody asks questions. A lot of people are just quiet and listening. So, you know, there's plenty of opportunity. There are people who are shy. They can change their names. All right. So, you know, we've got it covered. So, like, no matter how you are as a person, there's a way to attend and feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, before we continue with the questions, first of all, congratulations for this beautiful project. I mean, thank you so much for fighting so many years. And there's only one little thing I didn't like in your presentation, to include the word fail together to you. That doesn't fit, actually, this word. Not at all, Johnny. I mean, you've been a figure. I mean, for me, you are one of the biggest inspiration for what microtonal music and other tuning systems are getting, actually. And if I mean, in the last 50 years. I'm sure there's still so much to do, and now you have a very good strategy to continue. I believe there's so much achieved in this time, and we have to thank people like you for your energy, your life, and your passion, and all the work you're doing to spread and to give us these opportunities, actually. So the word faith, I mean, what? I mean, not at all, Johnny. Yeah.
Well, you know, I lost my funding in New York State. It's one of my reasons for being very comfortable to leave, because they said we accomplished everything. We're you know, it was one of those backhanded compliments, you know. Oh, you did so great. Everybody's microtonal now in New York Philharmonic, everybody. So you're not needed anymore. And of course, I was doing 128 at that time, and I was setting up my albums and making sure I had all my dots and, you know, T's crossed. And I said, oh, I'm dead? You know, oh, it's all over now? And so, you know, that was a nice kick, you know. It's like an old fortune cookie, you know, when people tell you you can't do it, you go show them you can. And so, you know, it just keeps moving, keeps developing. It's like, okay, you did iris. Okay, stop already. Okay. So, you know, without getting into names, you know, somebody gave me a real hard time I didn't expect because I said I'm doing work on Stravinsky. It's like I'm putting Stravinsky in my camp. Well, you saw my definition. All music's microtonal anyway. So 12 equal is microtonal. And Stravinsky's using 12 equal. But now he's also a microtonalist because he's using a difference between sharp and flat. And because his 12 equal is all temperaments of just 3 cents or less.
That's a point. Yeah, but you know, history is full of mistakes, and I'm really sorry it happened to you. But yes, people who can decide these kind of things, they don't have the education, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have, and but thanks God, you're a very strong person. And your passion is much bigger than anything else. So we thank you for this, for not going down, because a lot of shy people that change their names here, as you just mentioned, they would go down, never try, they don't care, but you care too much. And this affects us, all of us in this world. So for this, Gianni, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, but you should know it's fun. It's really fun. I'm having fun, right? And you're going to have fun too. If anybody is participating in this, you're going to have fun. If you're not having fun, something's wrong.
Yes, that's right.
Joy, what you are doing.
Don't forget this. The most important, actually.
Yeah, well, that wasn't my case in university. It certainly wasn't about fun.
Yeah, for me, it's the same. We discussed this on Monday offline. It was so beautiful, actually, this discussion. Yeah. It's a like kind of hate-love with university for me, because it's where I want to go, but at the same time, I need you actually also. And yeah, okay, now Microtonal University, now you're official university. So, I mean, a project itself. Yeah, so, but yeah, sometimes it takes really time when you make a structure and make a lot of bureaucracy and make such a huge organism. It's not so easy to change that. It really needs time. I mean, society in 50 years ago, 70 years ago, we as humans, we had a lot of mistakes, and I mean, but this is always changing. I mean, I think in a way we improved for the planet, not at all, but for many things we really improved.
Oh, this will remain in the future.
Yeah, and this is going to be, like I say, fun.
Yes.
This will be a chance for us to socialize. This will be a chance. We can develop, we can add days, we can do so many things. But I just wanted to put together for a first year, it's solid. Everybody's in agreement who's participating. It's solid. You know, we're going to have some money for faculty this year. And we got a grant, as we usually have been, from Joe Mandelbaum, who's on our board. And, you know, it's just a little bit, seed money. And basically, it's $200 a year. But it's $50 right now. But, you know, I don't even want to push that. It's up to people. But, you know, it's enough that if no one joins right now, it's stopped. We have 55 people. And for a Zoom university, actually, that's pretty good. In the sense that, you know, look how many people are here. We'll have a reservoir of 55. That's only as of right now. And so, you know, of course, we'll be able to go up to 500. We'll have a webinar. We're going to even go past that. Zoom allows for that. But I do want to, like, you know, make it smooth. I want it to be like a performance. Just like if I'm writing a book, I want it to be phrased. I'm writing a book as a narrative, so it's a melody. So like you start with the first letter and then you keep moving, right? There's a harmony aspect or all you can do, sure. But it's just, that's very basic. So this, without over exaggerating, or no, overemphasizing is the word. Without overemphasizing that you're going to learn to hear better. You will. Everyone's hearing skill set is going to improve dramatically.
Yes.
Because there's ways to do that nobody knows. And I had to train musicians. If you guys are not familiar, anybody's not familiar with the AFMM in New York, it was a musician-run group. I say was because I'm not performing in New York live concert. But it was a musician-run group, and then everybody leaves New York, they go around the world, and now you have Microtonal spreading. So that, all of a sudden the violinists can play in quarter tones. Or they know what justification is.
Yeah, Johnny, thank you so much. Best of luck with this beautiful project. I have to. I don't want to say to interrupt this topic, but Steve is also telling me he's back, and we're 7 minutes ahead of time, over the time. And
okay, sure.
Hey,
Steve.
Hi.
That we are going to have this concert. It sounds amazing. I was checking before this morning, and I would like to make a presentation.
Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations and good luck, Johnny. Yeah, so it's very nice to finish with a great concert with our friends. I mean, we know from Small is Beautiful, of course. And so Donald Bousted as composer and duo contour, Stephen Althoff, 19 division trumpet, and Lee Ferguson, malletKAT. They are presented the 9.5 55-minute work in 12 movements for 19 divisions trumpet and malletKAT. Donald Bousted is a composer, mixed media artist, producer, and ukulele player. He's perhaps best known for his Microtonal music, which he has been an interest since he was a student. He has written music using quarter and eighth tones, just intonation, and a substantial body of work on 19 divisions tuning, 19 pitches per octave. Donald is the founder of and artistic director of Microtonal Project and has had a 23-year project with Stephen Althoff called the Microtonal Trumpet. He's musical director of Euro Microfest and the curator of mixed media events, which have been included Wild Dog, and in 2010, late at Tate, Microtonal, Tate Britain. He has been collaborating with Duo Contour, Stephen Althoff and Lee Ferguson for 20 years, having initially written verses 1 to 4, as well as the multimedia work in Your Dreams. Duo Contour is based in Freiburg, Germany, and have appeared at Microtonal events as UK Microfest, Euro Microfest, and Beyond the Semitone in Scotland, where they have presented their growing repertoire for Microtonal trumpet and malletKAT. Donald completed 19.5 in 2014, and it has recently been released as a digital album featuring Duo Contour on Microtonal Projects Records. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Donald Bousted and Duo Contour.
Oh, all good.
Hello, I'd like to thank the International Melodic Music Society and Johannes and of course Agustin for the invitation to introduce my piece 19.5. which earlier this year was released as a digital album. So if you want to listen to it, those guys. Listen, malletKAT. And if you're not familiar with the work that Steve and I have done over the last 23 years, then I'd ask you to have a look at the microtonal trumpet portion of the Microtonal project's website. In short, we've been developing conversion kits, microtonal conversion kits for Steve's concert trumpet. And those conversion kits convert the trumpet into a quarter tone instrument and a 19 division instrument. But in addition to that, there's a substantial body of work, including a PDF book and many pedagogical resources, such as fingering charts, charts for particular techniques, interval lookup charts, and so on. And there's also a body of pedagogical composition, from approachable studies in 3 tuning systems to modal duets in 19 division, through to a range of concert works from solo with percussion and or electronics, or with malletKAT, as we have here in 19.5. So following this short introduction, Duo Contour will play the last 3 movements of 19.5. And what I'd like to offer is just a brief overview, and then to make a couple of specific points which I hope will be of interest to this audience. In terms of form, 19.5 does not use the traditional techniques associated with creating homogeneity in multi-movement works. It's not motivic or thematic between the movements. Instead, it's presented as a kind of journey. It's personal. It's my journey in exploring this ancient but contemporary tuning system. And I invite the listener to experience it in this way too. Although each movement can stand alone, and in fact has been performed, some of the movements have been performed alone in concerts and so on. For me, the true nature of the piece can only be experienced when listening from beginning to end, and I'll give an example of why I think that's the case. But first, let's just have a look at the whole piece. There are 3 sections, so 3 sections of 4 movements each. The first section is concerned with certain modes as we're all familiar with them in normal 12 division tuning. However, here they're presented in 19 divisions, so they're closest equivalents, if you like. The major scale, the minor scale, and the whole tone scale. They're explored separately and sometimes in combination. And I'll give a little bit more detail about one of those movements in a minute. The second section presents 4 what I call narrative pieces. These navigate different stylistic and tonal organisational approaches to 19. They're narrative pieces because for me they're exploring extra musical themes such as mental health, loss, separation, socialisation and death. In a way, I don't think it's important that people know that when they're listening to it. But these subjects, for me, were a trigger, and a trigger for a fairly diverse response to this tuning system. It's an emotional section, and it has quite a different feel to the more sort of distant and academic approach to the first group. The third group is a polymicrotonal development using just intonation scales in 10, 13, 19, 26 divisions of the octave and non-octave and mirror scales. It plays with these new sonorities against the trumpet's 19 division, which is not fixed completely, but obviously more fixed, although the trumpet player is instructed to modify pitch by ear in this section to fit in with the just intonation harmonies. The scales used, for me, create a feeling similar to modulation in traditional music, in that they create a sense of moving away or being taken to an extreme point. And appropriately, the theme of this last section is spirituality. And this is suggested by the use of increasingly stark musical forms and the presentation of material against a backdrop of silence. But also, at times, there are very specific musical representations. So in What You Believe Will Come True, which is a piece you'll hear, we hear bells, we hear repetitions which sound like chanting and so on. The other thing you get in my music, which very few people seem to get, except Patrick Tossard-Lowe, who wrote an absolutely fantastic review of this piece, is... Oh, sorry, that's the wrong slide. Jokes. So, although you could say that this piece is a kind of representation of the journey to enlightenment, of becoming whole, movement 3 is called whole, because in my journey of life, you're just as likely to fall down a hole as you are to become whole. And the other thing is that this movement uses the whole tone scale, in 19, of course. Movement 7 is called Life is About Life and Death and Death and Death and Death. And if you've ever seen Johnny the Painter on the Fast Show, you'll know where I'm coming from. So be on the lookout for jokes. This is a serious piece, but with serious jokes. So let's establish some basics. Steve's 19 division trumpet is in B flat. The score is written in the transposed form, so it sounds a 19 division, that is 3 steps of 63 cents, lower. The malletKAT is a 12 division instrument, being laid out like a traditional mallet instrument, and is mapped into 19 via contact. The malletKAT part is therefore written in scordatura. So the score, which looks like this, represents what's played, but not at all how it sounds. Now, I've done a separate score of Madge, the first piece, which shows how each instrument sounds in relation to 12 and how it would be written as sounding in 19. But I decided not to do that with every movement. Instead, to provide charts, lookup charts really, which show all the possible pitches and how they're mapped. Because the first 2 sections are all in 19 equal, as much as any acoustic instrument can be described as such, then I only needed 1 chart for those sections. But in What You Believe Will Come True, there are 5 patches, so 5 charts, and they're all very different. For anyone out there who's listening to this because they're interested in working with acoustic instruments or with 12 division instruments which rely on scordatura or mapping, it is complicated. I made loads of mistakes. In fact, the reason that Duo Contour are playing 3 movements today and not 4 is because Lee is playing on a different software instrument to the one used on the recording, which in turn used a different file type, and I simply messed up the programming of that file when I was working from one to the other, and I haven't had time to redo it. So you always have this complicated back end to deal with any piece which is microtonal and working with 12 division instruments. It's really, really important to stay focused on your conception, your piece, your masterwork potentially, we hope. These necessary complications and preparations are far more than, say, the technical considerations you'd normally need to make in a 12 division work. And it's really important they don't become the focus. The focus is the artistic impetus, and it's a difficult balancing act. I now want to show you what happens between movement 8 and 9. Movement 8 is the last of the 19 division narrative pieces. And it goes on a veritable tour de force of tonalities in 19. I'll play the last 40 seconds or so of that so you get the idea, and then go straight into the next movement. This is the one I messed up for today's performance, which is using a just intonation patch on the malletKAT. And this is a 23 division repeating scale based on the 13th step of 19, which is 758 cents. But these are not equal steps, they're rounded to the nearest just interval. So there are more or less pure major and minor thirds and pure perfect fifths, but also some minute intervals as well. What interests me here is the effect of this tonal shift. And I come back to what I said before about the appreciation of this work needing all the steps along the way. You need to listen to everything. What I feel about it, this transition, is this kind of super modulation. And for me, this is an emotionally significant point in the work. I hope you enjoy what you hear. I'm indebted to Duo Contour for their incredible work on this whole project. It's really been 10 years in the making. They're going to play the last three pieces of the work, which are called Shut Your Fat Mouth, What You Believe Will Come True, and Magi. And did you spot the joke there?
Thank you so much for the concert. that we are having a concert at this symposium. It's really, can you hear me? Yes, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I just went out. I left my colleague Naturally here, and I just went to write a very quick message to Johnny. I'm sorry I missed. Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, everyone. I didn't
Pleasure.
any words to say goodbye because I don't like to say goodbye, and we have now a very good taste in our mouth after this concert. So I just wanted to say I will be for those of you same mechanism as always. We have this year we published the third volume of Microtones. Mikrotöne is most beautiful. And I will be bothering you maybe in springtime or I guess January 2023. So if you want to publish your papers with Mackinga Verlag, it will be my pleasure to collect them. Because of there's a huge number of participants this year. It might be that because Herbert was already telling me some things about some lines for the paper. It might be that we introduce some recommendations or so. We served until now as a platform, but yeah, maybe next year, depending on the papers, we will have to give some instructions. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't be happier and about this symposium. So I learned so much. I have to thank you a million times about your expertise, about your thoughts, about your inspiration, and about your energy, your time, your passion, and all the good things that happened here these days. Online, but still, I think for me, it was really a big thing. And I felt very close to you because somehow we are almost speaking face to face. In a way, we were close to each other. I had the chance to talk to many of you in the breaks as well after. So it is has also a lot of benefits being online, but hopefully in 2023, first personal hope that I can remain in Salzburg, that I can still stay here, and I can again do my best to have this beautiful meeting. And I hope to, if I'm here, I hope to see you, go for a beer now. And yes, thank you so much. If anyone would like to say some words, please not too sad. I'm very sensitive, and I don't want to give this impression. So thank you for the music again. Thank you for the great day, the great days. And anyone would like to add something, but not too sad, please.
Yeah, thank you, Augustine. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this.
Bravo. Thank you.
Event.
To all, gratitude for all of your wisdom.
Can you hear me? Let me add, it was a wonderful time with you, and thank you so much for your attributes to our symposium, and I'm looking forward to 2023. I hope we will see again all healthy and alive.
Thank you, Johannes. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And once again, thank you to the to co-working for this beautiful conference room. Very quiet. We didn't need really headphones on the weekend. And thank you to the Mozart University once again for the support. Special thanks to Maria Hertz that she has been supporting us all these days. Thank you, Maria. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you all. And yeah. As Johannes said, lots of health, lots of inspiration. Keep up your fantastic work and keep up inspiring us like you are doing. So, yes, See you soon.
It's time
Yeah.
to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye to you.
Danke.
Thank you.
A big hug to you both, to everyone.
And all the best. Everyone, if any questions, anything you might need, please contact me. And I have the videos. I mean, the videos are in the cloud from Mozarteum. I will get them soon. And I guess, I mean, I will ask you again if you are okay if we put this valuable documentation in the Ecmelic International webpage. I don't know if we will do also some extra. I think it's okay if we just leave it there. But if any other thing, of course, we have to decide all together. Any questions, please contact us. If you think we can improve something for next time, please let us know. It's important to keep up the quality of the organization, the quality of the knowledge and the music we have these days. I don't think we can improve that, honestly. Yeah.
No.
So bravo,
John.
and see you soon. Have a wonderful time, and see you next
You
time.
too. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.